Hi, welcome to Always on Liberty. Today we're going to talk about how to cover these awful cornice boxes in your RV or camper or even boat. When we bought our RV new, they always come with these bland and tan colors and designs, hideous designs, and none of us really like them. So in order to put a little bit of personalization and custom into them, we can cover these. All is not lost. So before we cover them, I wanted to go over a couple of the supplies you're going to need. First of all, you need a good pair of scissors. I recommend a pair of sewing scissors because if you cut fabric, you don't want to have to fight the fabric. So I have a special pair of scissors I bought that is for fabric only. Then you're going to need a staple gun. A simple staple gun is fine. And you're going to need extra staples in case you run out. In this particular one, we have the 5/16 8 millimeters. This should be enough for depth. Now, before we start, I did want to let you know through personal experience, you probably should try not to rip apart and take these apart, because in the event that you want to sell your RV later and the new buyers are not keen on your decorating sense, you can tell them, well, you can rip the design that you put on, and underneath is the same thing that you started with. All right, so let's talk about fabric first. You can buy any fabric. Please be aware that you want something that is a little thicker and not so see-through. If you do find a pattern or a fabric that you really like and it is a little see-through that you could see the pattern through, just simply buy a like a broadcloth that is either white or black to be able to cover that you don't see through the fabric. So let's get started. First of all, when I cut my fabric, I laid my Cornice board on top of the fabric, and I just made sure that my fabric can cover all parts of the Cornice board. Okay, now I've covered many of these, so I've become pretty good at it, but if you feel you need to measure, that's up to you. The other thing is, when you're dealing with fabric, if you have a pattern that can go any which way, you're fine. You won't have to worry about how the pattern's going to be. However, if you work with stripes, I don't recommend on your very first try because they are a little tedious. Also, crisscross patterns. Even though this looks blue in the video, it does have a faint crisscross, which means there are lines. So keep that in mind. So let's get started. The very first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to know which is the front, the top, and the sides. Now, if you look at the old one, the old design, you'll notice that the fold is on the top and the side. So when your Cornice board is up on display, you don't see that crease. It's on the top. And usually the tops are either hidden by the ceiling or they're high enough so you won't see them. So to lay it out, you're going to put your Cornice board, and I'm going to stand up here so you're not going to see my face. I want you to see what's going on the table. So if you lose my face, that's okay. So, all right. So when we lay this out, you want to make sure it is pretty even and you need to move this down further. Okay, so we are all set. Now, I work the sides first, which are the two short sides. So what I do is I will stand this up like so. I will fold this in and I will staple. And don't be afraid to staple more than once. However, if you're new at it, you might want to try this with a scrap piece of fabric to get it down first. Then I've got that side done. Now I'm going to work the other side and keep it straight, and don't pull the fabric to stretch it, but kind of pull it to keep it taut so you don't have any bagginess. And then you fold that over on the side again, bring this up and staple. So now you have the sides stapled and ready to go. Now remember, this is the front of the cornice board. This is the top. We're going to work on the top now. Now remember those creases I worked on or was talking about that you want the 90-degree angle to be. So it's just like wrapping a present. This is going to be your flap. However, you're going to work your fabric that you have the 90 degrees as such. And go ahead and zoom your video so you can see that. So now that I did that, now I also want to keep in mind of my pattern. I do have a crisscross going. So I want to keep it straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this a little bit, miter the corner that it goes into the corner of the inside of the box. Keep it as tight as you can without stretching the pattern. So you see, I've got it there, okay? And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just like a present, tuck the side under and then work the top of you, and you'll have to work with it. Work the top over to be 90 degrees. And then again, pull it. And staple. Now you will notice that I have a lot of excess going on here. That's why you need those sewing scissors. And also this is where we have an MCD blind that has to fit back in here. So we don't want to interfere with that blind mechanism. So what I'm just going to do is take my sewing scissors and just kind of trim this out a little bit. It doesn't have to be pretty really, because no one's going to see it but you. Okay, so I'll now do the rest later, just giving you an idea of what's going on here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to finish stapling the top here. Now, I do have a line in the pattern that is right here. I want to keep in mind, I want to keep that straight. So when I staple, I want to keep that in line. And I typically eyeball it. So that is stapled. Now comes the fun part. We're going to bring this over. Now, first I do the short sides. All I'm going to do is just fold this a little bit and then tuck it inside like this. Okay, and then I'm going to stand it up, and I'm going to staple and get as close to the inside edge as you can, so you see it's nice and tight in there. And we'll clean this up after we're finished. We're gonna do the same over here. We're gonna kind of tuck this, fold it in a little bit, and then pull it tight. Taut, not tight. And staple. So now we have three sides, both ends and the top. Now we're going to work on the front. Now this is where the critical part is. You want to keep your front, especially if you have stripes, this is where you're going to straighten out your stripes. Now I'm looking at this and it looks like it might be going this way a little bit. All I do is I push it a little bit until I get it straight. And it looks pretty straight now. And like a present, see, it's already been ready. You just push that in. Let's straighten that out a little bit. There. Staple. Do the same on this end. And then you want to finish and pull it taut, making sure your lines or your design is straight. And there it is. Now I did want to let you know there is another tool that I think maybe if you're haven't done this before, you might want a pair of needle nose pliers and a screwdriver in case you need to remove the staples and work with it again. My advice is don't cut any fabric until you're completely done or you're really sure of how it looks. So I am pretty happy with this, and now I'm just going to trim a little bit of this fabric to get it out of the way of the MCD shade mechanism. And trim a little bit here. And there we have it. Pretty cool, huh? Now it's ready to be hung. Dan will take this over to the window, and in no time he'll hang it back up and we'll have new Cornice boards. So we appreciate you tuning in. And if you notice behind me, that is a window treatment that we're going to show you how we made that in our next segment. So stay tuned. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.